We're started.
All right, this is a continuation of the Emergency Service Facilities Building Committee. It's 26 September 2024, 7:01 p.m. We started at 6:30, had a little delay, we're in the wrong room. We're back, I'll quickly go over the roll again. Marco, Poulos, Rothhauser, Snyder, McCoo. Knight is seated for Cobb, Gankowski, Kelleher, Cantor, Millets.
Knight was seated for Snyder.
For Snyder, well, okay, we'll have to reseat, but, all right, so I guess we need a new motion.
No, it's automatic. When
It's automatic.
when the person that alternate is covering arrives at a meeting, they're automatically take their place. The alternate moves back to alternate.
Okay, but we could seat in for Stuart.
Stewart's an alternate.
Stewart's.
Oh, Stuart's an alternate, so.
Yeah.
Okay, but Peter's not here, Peter's a seated member, he's.
Yes.
Yes.
But the alternates are for the fire department.
I'm sorry, okay, really? Only for the fire department?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
Have we made it confusing enough yet?
Yeah, no, that's all right, then we're all set. All right, we started with, approval of minutes, present to speak. Now that we have people present, is there anyone online present to speak? Seeing none, we started with old business. Hey. Oh,
No, this is me.
that's you.
Oh, that's me.
Okay, we were talking about remediation of Station 13, we, landed on the fact that we are going to, not spend any money on that building until we have, direction, a more just a clear trajectory about what we're gonna do. If we're approved to use these consultants, we feel that that will be a great place to begin. That the RFP should, if they, if they adhere to. When we get the information that we requested through our request for proposal, we should have solid, current, up-to-date information, which will guide us towards our next decision. We then spoke briefly about what can we do to reduce expenses, to reduce any but further expenses at that building, including shutting off the heat or whatever. And I believe we ended off with something about some electronic gear that needs to be protected from temperature variations, but we don't know the tolerances or.
Correct.
That
I
was
don't know, yeah, it's the state fiber. PSCN, I don't know where, other than the shelter, I don't know where else it can go.
But that would have to be moved.
Well, yeah, if it gets condemned, it's gotta be moved, but from a heat and cold perspective, I don't know.
I don't know
Well,
what
the
that-
tolerance
Think it could
is.
survive?
It may,
Okay,
It may
I mean-
make enough of its own heat to keep
it may.
right,
Doesn't
if nothing else, maybe a
Throw
small,
a heater on it.
right, a little heater or some, so we did.
Can we make this an action item?
I'm gonna say, do we need should we,
Make a little polyangle.
yeah, how do we wanna make that an action item?
Well, someone who has the best contact with the public safety network people. So the fire chief, Wellington one, is gonna reach out to determine what we can do with the
So
switch.
if that could.
Switch? Is it a switch?
It's, yeah, sure.
Called switch gear, whatever you wanna call it, so.
It's gonna need to be moved in the future 100% anyway, right? No
Yeah.
matter what our options are. So if putting it in that tower hut is like a long-term solution, then like, let's just.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the fiber runs over cold, it's terminated at the firehouses and all and school. I think they actually run that fiber from the firehouse to that tower, and when it gets, they're gonna hit you for 30 or 40 years.
We're gonna need a long-term solution anyway, though, right? So.
Right, well, just
might as
thinking
well
that, though.
start Crying about the place now.
Yeah.
Right, but I kind of think what like Tyler said, based on the climate, just let's not spend any money on it at all in any, and actually try to reduce the expenses to a minimum.
Yeah, like Ron said, Ralph, you make a cocoon around it, but box with insulation.
Yeah, right, yeah, put a little
Figure it out.
pool heater or power,
There's no
or
two
little
ways in that
pipe
space.
things in there.
Knock a few.
All right.
James had asked about the trucks.
Yes,
Uh,
what,
So we did come to an agreement with Becker's Construction. Becker's is going to take ET 213 for the winter.
excellent,
Fair enough.
that be at the Wellington Hill, right down.
Yeah.
By the cemetery.
By the cemetery, that's okay, good.
We'll have limited, we will have access to it if we absolutely need it. The officers will have access to it at night if we absolutely need it.
Okay,
The agreement was, is if we cannot go get it, so people aren't going through their building at night, like,
sure.
we
So you
did,
have keys to the gate.
You
and
can put a
stuff.
Knox box or something.
yeah, we're putting a Knox box gate lock, and then we're putting a Knox box itself on the building.
Okay,
So, and that actually helps them after this is all done and over with, that we'll have access in case of an emergency to their building.
And what does that leave out in the cold?
Nothing. The foam trailer is going to Ashford Station 220. The other ambulance is gonna stay in Stafford for right now until they need that bay. If they come back and say they need that bay for any particular reason, then we'll go from there. But right now, we're okay.
all right. How much does that change the times, do you think, having to go to Becker's, having to get a lockbox? Going through that, how does that alter times?
It's a, you know, a secondary or.
That a couple of minutes or
third
something?
piece.
That would be
They'll go for a structured fire.
equivalent to starting from station 49.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fair,
It's that close.
all right, so.
I wouldn't waste any time cranking the numbers on.
I see, all right, so basically, since we're eliminating station 13 from the, all calls would emanate from the two remaining stations, so your spreadsheet still works, so, okay, good.
The
All right,
time
cool.
distance calculations would
All right.
change significantly to.
The trailer's hopefully gonna get moved Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something next week. Their electrical's supposed to be done by tomorrow.
Okay, where's it going? So,
It's going to the south station
oh,
behind the
okay,
building.
All right, well.
Public Works helped us put some millings down.
nice. Public Works has been really helpful, I think.
They absolutely have.
Troy's been doing a nice job. Very good, all right, there would be a cost to drain the heating system if that becomes necessary. So that would be, even though we said spend no money, there'd be some there, but
I mean,
can you do that yourself?
Maintenance budget.
we still have maintenance budget money, so.
Okay,
I can't imagine a lot of money.
No, I'm
yeah,
just trying to think,
I guess,
I think it's better to drain it and pay that expense than paying the propane bill for.
oh, yeah, I
Heat
think
through that building.
that makes sense to me, if it doesn't make sense, based on your talk with somebody, let us know, but seems to make sense.
Yeah.
The question for Brenna, sort of, within your experience, will the mold need to be remediated if that building was to be
Taking that.
demo?
No.
No, that wouldn't be a requirement?
Not in my professional experience, I would say no.
If it was asbestos, it would.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, and as far as, how do you think other trades contractors, for doing in there, would that be a concern? Fans, if the doors were open, if they had to remove electrical, and, I mean,
If you're gonna do a total structural demo of that building, it just needs to be like made safe. You're not gonna have trades go in and like take off every piece of conduit from the wall. So they're just gonna like generally make the building safe. It's already gonna be drained, like they're gonna cut and cap the utilities at where they enter the building, and they don't need to go, like, there shouldn't be any like real trade work in there anyway at this point, because we're not
Just gonna
sell
smash your way in.
well, you wouldn't try to
It's
sell
an
it.
art form.
But I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no.
Said like a demo contractor.
No, there shouldn't be.
Not a
I mean,
whole
there
heck of a lot
shouldn't-
in there that's,
No.
I mean,
I also like,
Really?
it would have to
Wow.
be like, I haven't been there since we've been, but it's just gonna get worse and worse,
It has
right?
not-
Especially if
literally
we like,
nothing inside of that building has moved since the committee was there.
Yeah,
so it's just gonna get like more moldy potentially.
No,
but
Temperature, until the
Like to see
temperature
the-
goes below 55 degrees.
all right, well, I got some steam cleaner in there.
It,
You'd
So
save,
I would hope that we would get that out.
yeah, you'd save the steam cleaner, and there's a lot of other stuff that would be saved,
In the 40s,
and,
then is the mold
Yeah,
still an
no.
issue?
The estimation is no, it's fine.
Alright.
It would have to be so bad too, I feel like, for someone to actually like,
I was in there today, and I'm okay.
well, like a trade contractor, not like
No
long-term
worse than
exposure
ever.
over like years, that's different.
No worse than that.
Okay, so that's good. So that was item A, remediation. So we've agreed that no more money will be sent in there except for some minor maintenance that may or may not have to be done in order to keep it, the trucks are right now currently protected, and there's a plan with the least amount of impact you could possibly devise.
Yeah, that'll go October,
Public
as
safety.
of right now, October 15th.
Okay,
Can you, Mike, there's somebody in the waiting room. Sorry.
Beep. Oh, Mr. Tell.
okay. We assume, all right. So we'll move on, if everybody's comfortable, we can move on to item B. Cleaning of Station 13's existing foundation drain. Ralph, can you speak to that briefly?
think I did,
Yeah, you
last
did, but
week,
we didn't, I don't think how well it was recorded, but.
yeah, well, Public Works has diverted all the downspouts to surface drainage, not into the, foundation drain. We found Public Works found a couple of pieces of missing pipe connections underground for the foundation drain. The front left corner was missing about 10 feet of pipe. They dug it up, put a piece in. Where it all goes, hopefully it all goes into, that 24-inch concrete. Now, otherwise, I would discourage Public Works from doing anything there unless we absolutely have to. There's no sense in putting anything permanent in the ground until we know where we're going.
No, but I don't think it was a waste of time to do that. It protects the slab, it keeps it drier, there's good reasons for correcting those
Yes.
errors and. I don't think it was a
We
waste of
can-
taxpayer
we can-
dollars.
We can go over all the errors or what have you and how that building was constructed, but it's.
It's irrelevant, no, it's irrelevant at this point. All right, thank you for that, Ralph. Next item would be C, distribution of location study proposals.
That was really at the last meeting,
Yeah,
but some members didn't get theirs until tonight.
right, so,
Although they did by email, right?
I emailed it to all those who were not.
Who weren't at the meeting, okay.
Anyone who wants a printed copy, Andy has it.
well, I seem to have some, but I don't seem to have. I don't know. It'd be some of those back pages missing.
Here, have an extra.
So we'll come back to those in new business, right, on evaluation, discussing evaluation and all that.
Yeah, all right.
Mr. Chairman, can I just say something since people
Yes.
listening, just for the benefit of the people who are watching this video later or listening now? There were 5 proposals received. Those proposals were opened at the same time with 2 people watching and were photocopied at that time and distributed. The original received copies were put back right away in the selectman's office, just so we made sure there was some chain of custody. And that all happened last Thursday night. And so then we'll have to talk about evaluating them, but
Yes.
I just wanted to bring people up to date on how we handled the proposals.
Yeah, no, that's good, and they are there, the proposals are in the selectmen's office, so. All right, so now with the next items were. Under old business are pretty much what we just decided to put on hold. D is ongoing analysis of current and future emergency service fire department facilities, I think.
It all works into.
That works into our, further analysis after our poll, if we go forward with one of these. Temporary housing, same thing. Sunbelt rental, temporary firehouse, same thing. So, next then is if we agree that we can we'll leave those under old business, but we will just table them for now. That's acceptable. Recording secretary. Do we, I don't know if it's still true, but Peter told me, and I think in good faith, he believed it, that the money could be used for a recording secretary. Should we try to find one that would sit here with us and record the minutes in a more professional manner than trying to do it from the video? And not that, it seemed like a plan that would work, but I don't know if it's working as well as I thought it would.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not, so that's fine, and then. Do we wanna do that? Should we look for that? And if we do, how do we do that? How do we find a recording secretary? I don't know the answer.
I can ask the one we have with board finance.
Okay, would you be willing to do that?
We also use Eileen Smith for the Emergency Services Committee.
Okay, I don't know her,
She knows most of the players.
Yes, she does.
All right, is anyone familiar enough with her knows her well enough to reach out to her and ask if she'd be willing to do it?
Sure.
Would you do that?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Does
that have to be
I don't posted by the board of selectmen though?
I don't know, but let's find
When they're
out.
looking for people, they do, but I think they've offered hours to
Okay.
people who are already on board.
Okay, just.
Yeah,
We're
Yeah.
not voting or anything,
Right.
so.
Right, it's, let's, we get the names and we get some yeses, then I'll take it the baton after that and find out what actually has to be done to make it happen. But I didn't know anyone, so the plan was prevented seemed to be, made sense at the time. Okay, inventory list, call records, department charters, handbooks, mission statement. That's where I think we probably have most of that. Chief Moore, would you be willing to brief along this line about documentation? Can you talk a little bit about what the Board of Finance was looking for on that? They seem to be asking you for very specific documents somewhere.
Just point of order, I don't think that has anything to do with our committee.
It doesn't?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
I thought it was.
No,
kind of the same-
it's an issue of finance and their budget, which is not.
Oh, okay. Well, that's, I guess that was my question. Was any of that relevant to this stuff that we don't already have? It was completely different. Okay, that was my question.
What I think you're getting, Andy, was there was discussion about the fire department providing their SOPs, bylaws, and run cards.
This was all picked up from previous agendas,
Yeah.
Yes,
requests for information that hasn't
okay.
been brought forth yet, so.
So we have, I mean, on behalf of, we have the SOPs, the bylaws, obviously. The run cards, we did at work, I did print out the town of Wilmington's run cards and response plans.
Okay,
I have to say that it's generally not something that we easily publish and put out to the public, so I don't know how you wanna handle that, if it stays within the committee, you know,
For emergency services security reasons.
the environment that we live in, it's, I don't want, you don't need to know or how we respond to every single type of
I
emergency.
respect that.
However, I'm more than, you know, my opinion would be, I'm more than willing to share it with the group, so you have a general understanding of how things are laid out and how the town is broken up into certain response zones, who comes in mutual aid and all that stuff. It's certainly fine for the grand picture, but I don't, you know, I would respectfully request that somebody's not travel outside of this committee.
So perhaps, Mr. Chairman, could you ask the first selectman if we could, if it's appropriate for us to look at those in executive session? Because if we don't look at them in executive session and we look at them, we have to share them with the public.
Correct.
So I think we want to figure out before we look at it, if we can look at it in executive session.
And one of the things that we can do, if it's.
Is it critical to what we're doing now?
It's gonna be covered with the study, frankly. I should back up. Depending on what venue you select, mutual aid plans are a large part of the study.
And most of the people called that out in their proposals
Yeah,
that they would look
the
at.
short answer is no, in my opinion. It's not mission critical to our.
Okay.
It was more of a FYI, this is how we can.
No, I think this was just, you know, we were getting our feet wet as a committee when these things were on the agenda.
Mhm.
And, you know, I'm not looking for stuff that should be held close to the vest.
Yeah, and you know, Frank, if there was a desire, or if you know, the group felt that it was something they wanted to see, we could also simply do a quick PowerPoint and review on how, you know, how we basically set up the town's response plans, and just leave it on a PowerPoint in our possession until they get distributed. And we can certainly do a tutorial for that too, if you want, it's entirely up to you. But the SOPs and the bylaws are easy. The SOPs, I would ask would be the same thing, that they don't travel too far. That's the, you know, how I look at it, that's our bread and butter of how we respond to all types of emergencies. Not that it's confidential, it was not confidential, but.
No, I think the more important things on that item are the apparatus inventory.
Apparatus inventory,
Easy.
which we already got.
Call records, sure, not in great detail, but call records, just frequency, number of.
You're looking for, I think, what do we say, three or 5 years of past call records?
Yes.
Something that would work.
Yeah, I don't think.
So how many general calls, how many structure fires?
Exactly, yeah, I think that was the information.
That's fine.
I don't think we need to get more
Alright.
detailed than that, but
So perhaps, Mr. Chairman, you could clarify what's still missing from this list.
I will do my best to do that.
Because I know we have provided some of the stuff over
Yes, no,
time.
do that, yeah, I will do that. Okay,
Item I was intended to be, that was just, we're gonna need to promote the work of this committee at some point
yes,
and
Yes.
try to generate some public support.
yes, I believe that the public should be involved as early as possible in these decisions. I think that, the more we talk about these things that are happening, the better chance we have of getting to some sort of a yes, whatever that answer is. we go and present it. I think it's awkward when you hear about something for the first time at a town meeting the night of the vote. I think at a minimum, we should be talking about these things at least 120 days before it's ever gonna go to a town meeting, and even longer. Something like this, I would like to be at the next town meeting. I wish I could have 5 minutes just to talk about the state of the town with this fire, just so people know what's going on. And whatever it is, whether if that thing I did for the dog and pony show I did for the Board of Finance was good enough, then we'll just do that again with some better visual aids and just to let people know what's going on. So it shouldn't be surprising.
So I had a question on that. That was the only official presentation we've done so far, right?
That was the only one, yes, as far as I know.
So I watched earlier tonight, I watched the video of the CIP meeting on the 4th,
Mhm.
September 4th. And Ralph spoke during Present to Speak, and he introduced himself as Ralph Toulis, speaking as the vice chair of the building committee.
Okay.
That's completely inappropriate. And someone who's been on a board longer than any of us else in the room should know that. This committee did not ask you to go represent the committee. We did not have a report for them. You cannot go and nobody on this committee can go to another town committee, another town function and say, I'm here making a report for that committee.
Unless the committee has endorsed that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And then you went on not only to do that, but you went on to ask that committee to do certain things, including looking at the money that's available for both fire departments and to shift it into, to look at potentially shifting it into the remediation problem. Part of the reason that we have these committees and we all put in time volunteering for these committees, and part of the reasons that I am offended by this is that this is the kind of stuff that then goes back towards making the fractures between the departments. If this committee recommends together with representatives of the two departments to pool resources from the two departments to do something, that's great. That is how we go forward.
Good.
We can't have a representative of this committee go off on their own without this committee authorizing it and saying, we think you should take resources from two organizations and put them together to do something. Then that pits the two organizations against each other. And that is why we don't go off on our own and represent a committee without the committee telling us to do that. Because then the committee would say what, the committee would agree on what we want to say. Right? And then Pete Latendrich is a member of our committee also, right? Mm-hmm. And he spoke at Present to Speak at the end, and he did something similar. Want to thank the Board of Selectmen for focusing on funding. We on the Emergency Services Building Committee would like to have that off our plates so we can focus on the charge, getting trucks into the garage before the snow flies. Very important thing to do, of course. If you can identify dormant CIP, ARPA, and fire department maintenance money from both departments to do this, that would be great. And then Mr. Toulis in the beginning and Mr. Latendrich at the end entertained question and answer about this committee's work. This is not appropriate. We decide what we're going to present to the public. The chairman endorses or makes statements to the public or sends somebody off, sends Ralph, sends any one of us off to do that. We cannot, as individual members, go off and start presenting things to committees and say, I think you should do this. I think you should do that.
Okay.
All right, sorry, rant over.
All right, well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate the reprimand.
Well, yeah, good for me to hear too. We need to make sure I'm not speaking next part day. All right.
I think that's it.
Yeah, well, okay, now that's it for old business, new business. Open house, Tallinn has a new station 340 at 247 Gehring Road. I think somebody said it was at a cost of around 2 mil. And we should look at it. if we stay in groups of, how big are we? We're 10? So we have groups of four, we could, I
We
think
did
it's,
it like we did,
yeah.
For the school in Tallinn,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I find it helpful to go with somebody because there's always something I don't see and it's good to have a conversation, so I don't know how we want to arrange that.
Yeah, I think it's just important not to have a quorum, so we
We
don't
don't
have
wanna
to
have-
call, we would have to warn and call. a
Yeah, we
meeting.
don't have, and, of course, anybody from the public is free to go there, I'm sure, just
And
you have to ask.
on that issue, I checked the minutes of their fire department subcommittee this afternoon. They're nowhere near ready for an open house, so,
Okay,
I think that their chief could get us in there if we so desired, at least according to, Tammy Nuccio.
what, do we wanna wait for them to be welcoming us with open arms?
They're
or do we wanna
going through punch list items now, so
Okay.
I don't know.
Probably be a distraction, they probably wouldn't appreciate us as much.
I think when they get closer to an open house, maybe we can sneak in before that.
Anybody know anybody over there on a personal level? And just, next time you talk to them, say we'd like to see it. Thanks, thank you, Alex. Alex nodded his head knowingly, for the record. Okay, new business item B, cost comparison, remediation versus deconstruction.
Move.
So we moved that, okay, that's fine. I guess this is the meat here for tonight would be begin the discussion of how to evaluate the 5 location studies.
Yes.
Need to forward a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen following our 10 October 2024 meeting to maintain the anticipated timeline. So who wants to? I don't want to take the lead on this because I don't know. And I don't know enough about how to approach this, so.
Well, I'm gonna look at the date, going back to look at the RFP, just so we can. Cause I wanna look at what dates were.
It's on the last page of the RFP, Mike.
Where was the
Yeah.
paper that had the costs? I don't seem to, of each study that.
I have written on the front of it.
Yeah, I thought I did that, but then maybe I gave it away. Maybe it's at my house and I didn't.
Does someone have the RFP handy? I don't have the latest version in here,
I didn't bring it.
and I don't think you can get it online anymore.
Alright, well,
I thought I had it, Mike. I might have it.
I know I have it.
right,
Oh, it was emailed, right? It was emailed around.
Yes.
Okay, so. Alright, go back to email. Yeah, I think, the chairman emailed it out. Did I do that? Anyway, that was back around the,
8/21 maybe?
somewhere around there, yeah, that sounds right.
Page
Okay.
4. Questions were to be submitted by September 5th. Deadline for submittal of proposals, September 19th. Discussion and possible decision by the Board of Selectmen regarding execution of a contract to perform station location study on or about October
15.
15th.
Right. So first of all, Mr. Chairman, did you get any questions? In email from the people submitting RFPs?
I didn't get any
Okay.
questions.
Then that's easy, since the deadline's come and gone
There was
anyway.
one, according to Shannon, and all it was a request for an extension of time.
Oh, which I'm assuming was denied.
I don't, they never got a response, so.
Okay. Okay, so we opened the proposals on the 12th,
Yep.
I mean, the 19th, I'm sorry, 19th.
On the 19th.
And so then it is. Where the time's ticking if we want to try to get it to a decision for the selectmen on or about October 15th.
Alright, so,
That leaves us with a little over 2 weeks.
alright, so what do we need to do? Some people just got them, not everyone's had a chance to read every single page. What is our, I think the question there is, what is our criteria?
Well, I'd suggest for us to discuss and tear apart the idea that we would want to get the rest of the committee members to do their review pretty quickly
Okay,
and. What's that?
sorry, Ralph did email them to us that weren't available at the last
Okay.
meeting.
So maybe we should, if you wanna set a deadline as to when everyone has to promise they're done reviewing them. And then we should see if we have consensus on maybe the top three, and then invite. We had talked about inviting someone from like the Board of Finance and stuff to join us.
Yeah,
And
what do you
maybe
want to-
those,
We talked with them, then we figured out that we have them here.
oh, that's
Yeah.
true, we do have Board of
Yeah,
Finance,
the
right?
Board of
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Board of Selectmen,
We
right,
kind of-
okay, yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
That
we
may
did.
not have been necessary.
I was going in and out of the room making copies, so I missed it.
That's good.
Oh,
So then,
CIP.
CIP, that's what it
Yeah,
was.
CIP.
Okay, CIP,
Well, technically you have Stuart who sits on the committee.
The chairman of CIP.
Oh, Chairman.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, I think we can,
so
we
if we
probably
could,
can invite, we have enough, we can always invite more to get.
right, and then maybe what we should do, if there's consensus on, say, the top three, then we would ask each of those top three to do a Zoom
Okay,
with that group of people.
that sounds good.
And then the,
I don't know, it's been quiet.
All right.
if the top three or whatever, if we agree on that,
Sure.
we get those three to Zoom with the input from the CIP person and us, maybe we can come to a decision out of those top three.
Okay,
It seems like there are a couple outliers based on price that maybe we would only entertain. I mean, you don't necessarily want to interview all five anyway.
right,
That's a
I
lot.
suppose though, for our initial review, maybe price shouldn't be the governing factor. We should look at these without thinking of price. A second thing is, what, as a layperson who does not understand emergency services and all that it entails, what are some key things that I should be looking for in their proposals?
So here's what I did, even though I wrote a lot of what's up?
Should, the first thing should be compliance with the RFP.
Yes.
Right, that,
Oh,
right.
right, there you go.
Take the RFP, what did the RFP ask for, did they provide it?
Very good.
Are they light, are they heavy, are they?
Right,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
kinda that's how I looked at all of them.
Is that enough? Maybe that, is that?
Well, that's
enough?
what you asked for,
That's
and
right,
so
that's
that
right.
should be the primary evaluation.
Okay,
They
that
res-
works.
Were they responsive to the RFP?
Any-
For example, one of, I think it was the lowest priced bidder, or one of the low priced bidders, looks like a pretty good firm, but they missed a key thing. They didn't identify the team that would be provided to this task,
Okay,
and that was asked for in the RFP. Provide us with the information about the team.
okay,
So we could choose to just kick them out because they weren't responsive, or we could say, we're not moving forward with their thing
Yeah.
until they give us the team.
right, but
We
maybe,
have choices on
Okay,
it.
and
I'm just saying that's a good way to evaluate.
it's a good way to evaluate.
Did
all
they
right.
meet the RFP?
Are there any other nuances that you see when you're reading through those that make you go, "Ugh," because of the way like I heard someone say that some people weren't gonna do a site visit. To me, that would be kind of a, I don't know.
That's more of an opinion, but I share that I, when I read through them, if you were gonna come to the town and get the lay of the land.
Yeah, if you're just gonna,
If you're at the bottom of the.
if you're doing map views and stuff, I would think that's not good enough, so.
Right.
Okay,
And their fee wasn't square either.
what's that?
It wasn't a bottom line fee.
They had like an à la carte.
It was a
development.
contract, right, a la carte,
But how can you evaluate the existing infrastructure without being here? So anybody that wasn't coming here.
right.
Yeah, okay, so, site visit. All right, so compliance with the RFP.
Right, and I think- I don't remember, did the RFP specifically say they had to visit the sites? I'm not sure.
No,
if
but
it-
it
I don't
mentions
remember language
like,
to that effect, but.
No, but from just on the basis of what you're asking for.
Right.
As far as.
Oh, I
evaluating
agree, we
existing
need
structures.
to, I agree they need to be here, I'm just saying, can we do it by the RFP, or do we have to, right?
it
You
does
probably have
say
apparatus.
study expectations are to meet with the fire chief's designees, town administration, and zoning economic development staff. Of course, that could be
They
a
say.
virtual meeting.
Right, right,
But it does say meeting and liaise, like meet
That one
specifically.
says that they're offering virtual, but if we would like them to come.
Yes, yeah.
right.
It was
Extra.
additional
It's
fee
$2,800 a pop. Now,
Yeah.
why do you need it?
Yeah,
per whoever they send.
That's right.
first class.
Yeah, travel and housing.
To-
So that's the type of stuff you gotta keep an eye out for.
No, you're right, no, you're absolutely right, that the hidden cost. But as I'm reading these, if I saw one that said, that seemed, everything was great except for one thing, is then it would be fair to say, hey, look, you missed this important factor, but we really like everything else.
You have a paragraph in the RFP. Sure. The town of Wellington reserves the right to reject any and all submittals, waive any irregularities, reissue all or part of this request for proposals, and not award any contracts, all at its discretion and without penalty.
I think there is at least,
There's wiggle room.
there's at least one.
That's fine.
That I went through that was 100%. It met exactly everything that we asked for.
Excellent.
So there's at least one that is.
All right.
Digging.
So I think if the committee members go back to the email from, Ralph Toulis on the 22nd of August that has the RFP and the location study scope. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's one of the Ralph's comments on it. Wait, I'm on the wrong.
821.
I'm sorry, yes, 821. Back up one. From Andy, from the chairman, 821, the RFP and the scope of work are there. If you need, so you can take the RFP and then compare it to the proposals.
Right.
And I just wrote notes on the front of every one of them
Yeah,
about like
that's-
those little irregularities you talked about, Andy, like, oh, maybe they missed this, but maybe we could just ask them for it,
Right, yeah,
you know?
I think that's a fair thing to do.
Like the ones that didn't provide their team. I would never engage them without knowing who the team is.
Sure.
But I might ask them, hey, here's a chance to tell us the team, even though you didn't respond to the RFP properly.
Right. And they
Maybe
may not
they
know the
presented
team,
enough.
maybe they don't know the team until they get further down the road, who knows?
And we're not hiring them if they don't tell us the team.
Exactly, that's fine,
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, the other end of the spectrum is that they can't follow simple instruction of providing who your team is. They
Right.
Right.
Usually,
Yes.
usually gets lost.
And part,
Right.
That's true.
But there's other ones that did.
right,
They should
and
speak
well,
to it or not, if they
part
say
of me-
something, ask them.
part of me thought that, just throw it away, except then you have two bidders that are in the lower price who identified this project as for one fire department.
Right.
Do we wanna say that's an irregularity that we throw theirs out for too? Now all of a sudden we've thrown out three of them.
But they also didn't read the RFP, did they?
I know, I agree, they didn't, but are we gonna get, then, you know, what we'd have left the two high priced ones,
No, because one of those is, yeah.
And maybe maybe.
and they're way
I
higher.
got a false.
Alright, so, okay, so that's good, so if as I read through it, I can go exactly through what the RFP originally requested. And if I have any little nuances that bother me, I make a note of it, and then we talk about those,
Yeah,
and we're good, okay,
If-
that works.
If we come back to the next meeting and speaking strictly hypothetical, there's a quick, there may be some outliers, but there's a general consensus of the top two or three. I'm trying to think about what questions I would have for them that I didn't already get answered in the review of their RFP. I'm thinking about from a time perspective. Well, what exactly are we hoping to gain for information that we don't have at our fingertips in doing the interview process?
I had a couple of questions that I wrote on the front of a couple of my packets, and maybe we could ask those questions in email, maybe we don't need a Zoom interview. I just was thinking, if we wanted the participation of other stakeholders in town like CIP,
Oh,
that would be the way to do it. You get that person in there
Yep.
and they participate in the interview, they hear the answers to our questions. I don't know, that's a. Or we could just send back a list of questions to each of them and say, like, to the one that didn't provide the team.
Right,
We're not going any further with your proposal unless you provide us the team.
yeah.
You know, and we could do it that way also. I just want it, I'm just thinking of the schedule.
I'm trying to from
And-
a productivity perspective, I don't
Yeah.
know, you know, in reading these, I don't know, there wasn't a question off the top of my head, I gotta ask them that. It was
Yeah,
pretty-
yeah, yeah.
Some of them were pretty complete, some of them I didn't care for right away for various reasons.
Hmm.
I don't know. I like to get close to, I don't wanna rush anything, that's not my point, but.
Right,
As long as we.
But also not have it drag out too long either.
Yeah, the 15th is a good target date, and we might get going.
So if we look at the calendar, let me look at the meeting dates and see if if we're gonna crash into calendar problems, yeah.
Oh, sure we will. I have to, I will say now, what the fire chiefs have done to secure the equipment, does make me feel that I was feeling a really great sense of urgency before, that something had to be done, that the town is at risk. I think the work that that the chiefs have done to make sure that that isn't happening is good, so sort of like there's a little bit of a sigh of relief here that you don't have to railroad things quite as hard. I was a little, I was disappointed with I don't know, just a lack of support, that there seemed to be a lot of resistance to our original plan, and I didn't like that, I understood it, I just didn't like it. But I think now, I think we're on a good path, and,
The generosity of some residents too, some local businesses that let us.
Yeah.
Put fire trucks in there.
well, that's right, I mean,
Right.
yeah, but isn't that wonderful, that, you know, we
Right.
talk about it, and then I've said it many times now, I think sometimes the best solutions are not in this room. It doesn't matter what room you're in,
Right.
but the solutions are often out there, but how do you tap into that? And sure enough, we had some, you know, some good townsfolk show up and say, hey, we can help you out, and that's wonderful.
So as Britt was pointing out, our next scheduled meeting would be October 10th. The next selectmen's meeting after that would be October 21st.
Right.
So we could conceivably have a goal that everyone will have reviewed and have their opinions. I personally ranked mine 1 through 5, just so that I could keep
Sure.
a sense of order.
Yep.
But people, whatever their evaluation method is, could come to the meeting on the 10th ready
Right,
to
Okay.
try to have consensus on the top 3 or whatever. And move forward with a recommendation. In the meantime, if you could reach out and ask the CIP chair if they would be available
I
to
will,
participate, whether we do a Zoom or whether they just join us for the meeting on the 10th. And we review them, ask them to participate in the review on the 10th.
Brett, would you mind if I reach out and ask the BO Board of Finance Chair as well?
Yeah, go for it, or if you want, I can.
All right,
Did everybody get a chance to, just my own knowledge, did we get a chance to go through
I did not
No.
go
them?
through.
You didn't, okay, right.
Got more.
Okay,
What's happened?
so under C, begin discussion of how to evaluate, we've agreed that we will look at, we'll basically use the RFP to see how closely that was adhered to. We won't necessarily focus on price right now, so if you didn't know what it was, that's fine. To go with the best candidate, and we also talked about that if we did see 1 or 2 things missing, we can certainly ask, it's within our rights to say, hey, we liked everything, there's a couple of things missing. You know, did you miss that in the proposal or what?
If we're gonna ask questions, we should have that done, responded to before the 10th, shouldn't we?
The problem is we won't have the gathering of all of our questions before the 10th.
I would just think that if everybody ranked it, we say, hey, this is the top 3, we all agreement. But number 2, didn't ask a couple of things. If we got that.
We have,
maybe
I
number
think,
1,
their
something like
email
that.
contacts on every one of those proposals, so at the meeting on the 10th, we can agree what our questions are, and we can send
Do it
them
right
from the meeting on
From
the
the
10th.
meeting, absolutely.
And,
Okay with that?
Yeah, no, I was just,
No,
and then we could make a recommendation pending a positive answer to the questions.
right, well,
That
that's
we would
right.
recommend
Yeah.
whatever to the Board of Selectmen for the meeting on the 21st. That does give us 1 week if there's
Yeah.
some crazy answer comes back.
Right.
We could call an emergency Zoom meeting or something and do it.
They remind me of insurance proposals, you know, you say, hey, you guys are. You being our top tier, if you could do these 3 things, they go, you can't do them, it's like, okay, you're not the top tier, and it gets thrown out, so it's pretty fairly clear at that point. All right, so that's item C, I think we had, everyone okay with the 10th of October, we'll have them all read? And if you didn't, then your opinion won't get entered into the record.
As an FYI, it won't be good. I'll be out.
Can you? Share. Well, you guys suck, can you do something else?
Retired guys,
What do you got to do?
Can you?
I'm coming back from Ireland that day.
Oh.
That's all right, you're excused.
He won't have shaken the accent yet, so he doesn't want to be in a public meeting.
I'm coming home that day.
Nice. Is there, if you do, let's see, how can we'd like to get your opinions.
Yeah, they should submit. They should.
Whatever you have, if you can submit it to me, I guess, and put it to the chair, and, we'll roll that into the minutes, you know, whatever you see. If you could do that before the 10th, that would be fabulous, or on the 10th, I don't know, do it from drinking Guinness, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah,
I'm leaving on the
That's
8th.
just what you wanna do while you're in Ireland.
he's ready to go, I
Just
think.
log into the meeting.
Well, send us an email about the 6 people who submitted proposals instead of 5.
Well, 2 of them looked exactly the same, but, okay, so updated additional grant funding, yeah, that was a question that I think I wanted to know. When I was talking to Damano, and he was talking about this 250,000 or whatever it was grant that might come in for emergency operations center or something else. That was a matching grant that we had to throw in something in order to get it. Is that, does that ring a bell? No, nothing?
I have no idea.
Okay, then we'll just table that and I'll ask him directly. I'm not sure that he knew exactly, but he said it's still on the agenda, the federal agenda, it's still. It has not,
there.
it's still in committee, it hasn't been rejected yet.
Right, but there will be things that you have to comply with to get the money.
Right, and some of that, I thought some of it was a participatory amount, but I don't know. All right, I'll find out more. It was just thrown out there, and then it's the final thing, is there anything?
No, that's a moot point.
That's a moot point, okay.
As we previously discussed.
All right, no, that's fine. Okay, correspondence, I didn't see any. Nothing in particular. Present speak, public participation is desired and encouraged, because we'll be limited to time and appropriateness of comments to maintain progress, stay on topic, and maintain decorum. Is there anybody present to speak? We have some people online. I don't see any hands raised. They're both in the room and they think they don't want to participate, that's fine. Next meeting, 10 October 2024, 6:30 PM, lower level. Action items, the action item was
Review all proposals.
review all proposals and find out about something else. We early on. we said-
Secretaries.
Recording secretary. The recording secretary.
Who was, Ron was gonna reach out to Eileen.
And I'm gonna reach out to the board lines.
Okay,
Great, we laugh. And then,
Mr. Chairman, you had a couple action items, right?
me?
You wrote something down.
He was writing, so I assumed he wrote them down.
I did write them down. Oh, first selectman, I'm supposed to ask about the executive session.
Yes.
See if-
Did we decide that we don't really need that or no?
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna ask anyway about how to do that.
Find out anyway, if,
Find out
for security reasons.
for
if we
security
can-
reasons that we may want to go into executive session for reviewing somewhat more sensitive call data than really would be comfortable being released to the public. All right. Is there anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Hang on. You were supposed to reach out and ask for chairmen, women,
Oh, yeah,
chairpersons
Yes, I do have that.
for CIP
CIP,
and Board of
BOS,
Finance.
yeah, that's my action item.
Knew there was something else. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are they gonna be here for the review process for this next meeting, or what do you want to do?
I'm gonna ask them to show up on the 10th, either Zoom or otherwise.
They want these emailed ahead of time, or is that like not a?
I don't know,
Let's see, why not? You make it
Why not?
as possible.
It's public, once they're opened, it's public information.
Okay, so now these are all open to the public.
I think it's FOIable once you open the bids.
Okay.
You opened and received them. And
Yeah.
everything.
Even though we haven't evaluated that, even though, okay,
Yeah, I
that's
think
fine.
they're FOIable.
All right. So,
So you could email the RFP and the scope of work that you've already emailed to us on the 21st, you could email it to those people once they agree to join us. And email them the scans that Ralph did of the 5 proposals. That way you don't have to worry about getting paper to them.
perfect. All right, I will do that. I'll dial you in when I get it done.
Actually, though, 4 of those, digital documents were how they were submitted.
Yes, right.
Shannon had
But
printed,
one was scanned.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're all
Okay.
attachments.
but they're all in digital form. so-
Sorry.
which is
Someone
all-
mailed in their.
All right, I will reach out to, I'll ask Peter to show up too.
Fancy.
Old school, they should all be. We'll try to get the heads of those committees
Was
in
that
here.
Mr.
Right?
It's pretty impressive.
All right. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
all in favor, discussion, all in favor?
Bye.
It's unanimous, we're adjourned at 7:50. Thank
Good
you all for
night,
your
all.
750.
750. Thank you for your participation.